Okay, a little while ago I did a review of some Oripure pickups, which were fairly standard vintage wound neck and overwound bridge pickups, Alnico 5 magnets, and I found they were very good. They're about the same sort of quality as I would expect from Iron Gear or Tone Rider, and about the same price as Iron Gear, so yeah, quite a good contender. Now, I mentioned at the end of that review, in my conclusions, that the one time I would really choose Oripure over, say, something like Iron Gear, because of the difference in delivery, for me, in the UK, it's easier to get Iron Gears generally. But the one time I would really use Oripure was if they did a pickup that I couldn't get in the Iron Gear or Tone Rider range. So, I bought some. These are asymmetrical humbuckers, by which I mean one side of the humbucker has poles and the other side of the humbucker has a rail. They're also a little asymmetrical in that the neck pickup has Alnico 2 magnets and the bridge pickup has Alnico 5. Now, Alnico 2, in my experience, tends to give a clearer, more natural kind of sound, whereas the Alnico 5 feels a bit more boosted. They sounded like a pair of pickups that A, I couldn't get from Iron Gear, and B, were going to give me a level of versatility that you might not get just from some ordinary humbuckers. So I thought I'd try them. So these I bought myself, so there's absolutely no question of me being paid to do this review. These are just something which I thought I'd let other people know about, because there don't seem to be a lot of interviews about Oripure pickups, particularly these asymmetrical ones. So to start with, I tested them in my humbucker test guitar, which was the same one I used for the previous pickup review, which is a Harley Benton SC-400 Gold Top. At first, I just put the pickups in the humbucking setup. They were good. They were nothing particularly special, and I felt could have got pretty much the same sort of thing from a pair of ordinary humbuckers. An improvement in the neck, in that it's got that slightly lighter area sound for the Alnico 2 magnets. But when I was deciding I ought to do a review about it, a video review, I thought, well, what really makes it different is these two different pickups in one, the pole and the rail. So I thought I'd better put some switching in so that we can listen to each side of the humbucker separately. So I opened up the back of the guitar and I put some wiring and switching in to do just that. I can switch between the two rails as single coils, the two poles as single coils, or the series humbucker. And I've tested it out in this way. One thing you will notice in the recordings that I've got of the pickups is that there's quite a bit of hum there. And that is not a problem with the pickups, it's not a problem with the guitar, it's simply that I have put the wiring in just hanging out of the back of the guitar, so you've got basically aerials hanging out of the back of your guitar, picking up any rubbish to go in. But it's not so bad that you can't hear the difference between the pickups. So here are some recordings of these pickups. And what I've done is I've taken the three different positions, the neck pickup, both pickups together, and the bridge pickup on its own. And for each of those, I've done it as a series humbucker. Then I've done just the pole single coil, and then I've done the rail single coil. So I'll let you listen to those. It's all recorded clean. It goes through a clean amp simulation. There's a bit of reverb. There's a bit of noise gating in between recordings. So it should give you some idea of what these things sound like clean. I always find it's best, if you're talking about just what does pickup sound like, to give you the clean pickup. And then I'll talk later on in the conclusions about what I've found about playing it with different levels of distortion. Here are the pickups. Neck pickup. both pickups together. Bridge pickup. Okay, so hopefully that gives you some idea of what these pickups sound like, at least in the clean mode. So what are my experiences of using it more generally? Firstly, I had it just with the series pickups in and played it like that, and it was much like playing fairly ordinary humbucker pickups. Bit of an advantage with having an Alnico neck, because it gives you that clearer open sound, more of a contrast with the bridge. So I found that's a little more versatile than just ordinary humbuckers. But when I started playing it with the single coils, that was a bit different. Firstly, I think these pickups split very well, so you get a good single coil sound. And also, I think there's a bit of difference between the two different sounds, the pole or the rail. And it's hard to describe, but I would say the poles have a slightly more rounded sort of mid section, where the rails are just that little bit more pushy. Now, particularly with the bridge, you will get a difference between the pole and rail simply because of the position. The rail is closer to the bridge, so it will give a sharper sound because that's the sound the strings are making at that position. Even at the neck, you can hear some difference between the two, sort of smoother in the middle for the poles and a bit more pushed for the rails. It's not a huge difference, it could be a useful difference. So my overall conclusion, what do I think of these pickups? Well, they make good humbuckers, but also they split really well. So they do give you a nice brighter feel than in the series humbucker configuration. Am I glad I bought them? Yes, I'm going to be using these in a Telecaster that I'm making into almost a baritone. So I'm putting some big strings on it and down-tuning it, drop B. And I think that brings me on to the other thing. What does it sound like with overdrive? Do you hear a difference? Well, there is a difference. I actually find the note separation is better in the single coil configuration, particularly with the rails. Would I recommend these? Yes, I think I would. I think I'm getting an even better impression of Oripure pickups in general. I think the quality's good. And this is a useful, different kind of setup. So yes, these are recommended. Hope this has been useful to somebody. Have a good time, everyone. Hope to speak to you soon.